Hey, story fans, it's the Writing Ref back with the call for Peacemaker Season 2. And remember, I don't hate, I just officiate your favorite TV shows. Season 2 had overall positive reactions, but that last episode left a lot of people with gremlin up their butt. Or interdimensional imp. Why is that? Was there a writing penalty to call? We'll go to the replay booth and examine that right now.
Here we go.
So,
I get scared. I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices I can.
Was there a problem with the way Peacemaker ended on its cliffhanger ending? Or was it more of an Empire Strikes situation, where everyone's just really impatient and didn't like how things ended on a low note, so now they gotta wait 3 years? To answer this question, we have to look at the final episode and see what led up to it, to see how the conflicts were resolved. If there were no conflicts to resolve, then the last episode is really just one big epilogue. Well, I think we can say right away that there was at least one conflict to resolve, the internal conflict that Chris was experiencing. Because he, after the physical conflict had been resolved, came to the conclusion that he was the problem. But in a very self-defeating way.
maybe because I'm the angel of fucking death.
So what becomes the main conflict of the last episode? It's an intervention with his friends in a seedy hotel room. This is the climax of the whole season. Just a bunch of friends reaffirming their commitment to each other, but at the same time, Chris is finally being told what he needs to hear to take control of his life. So you have this emotional climax, and for some reason, for a lot of people, including me, it's not all that satisfying. Why is that? Well, the physical climax, as I said, happened in the previous episode, as Chris's father was killed again, and the 11th Street kids made their hectic escape from the Nazi world. And while this was emotionally powerful to watch, there's no villain to defeat except for Chris's inner demons. And the people that are defeated, turns out, might have been okay. So were they really the villains? And good stories don't always need to have some kind of external threat or antagonist, like the butterflies from season 1. But in this case, if you're going to go busting Chris out of a real-world prison because he's feeling sorry for himself, having this whole scene where you're also convincing Vigilante to use his blood money for good, and then you just go right back and throw him in a different jail at the end of the episode, it feels like we didn't get anywhere. So James Gunn did say that he wanted to do a lot more with the Nazi world, and I could see where that may have gone. And one thing we know is that they didn't plan on letting Chris's brother survive like he did, so they want to use him later as a potential real antagonist. I think people were invested in seeing more Nazis get punched, even though we did get to see a bunch of them fried in a swimming pool. There wasn't much of a fight with the other antagonists, the Argus and all Lex Luthor's people. We just had them kind of sneak around and get information while the economists told bad jokes where they learned Peacemaker's location. You would think Hardcore would have some way to deactivate Chris's transmitter once they found him again, because it seems like that's why we ended up just getting Chris kidnapped again. But they don't do it because obviously they need him to end up in the Salvation world. So this penalty that I'm about to call, if you will, is for not keeping the audience engrossed with an external physical obstacle, which is expected of stories like these. Some stories can be all about the internal struggle, but a superhero show needs to balance the external threats a little bit better. We'll call this a lack of conflict balance. Lack of conflict balance. Conflict balance. I make up a new penalty every time. Conflict balance on Peacemaker. The result is a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than you could have gotten. Now, the way you could balance the external threats means you have to push the flashback in the last episode of Peacemaker with Harcourt and Peacemaker on the boat. It needs to go somewhere else, because that is what really kills the momentum of the episode. It's interesting, and I think James Gunn probably felt that it was going to really drive home the climactic emotional release at the end. But honestly, it really could have gone in a different place, especially right before Chris runs in and risks his whole getting captured, maybe even his life, just to see if Harcourt is, if it meant anything to her the first time. Because without that context, that scene isn't as powerful. And I think a trend lately on TV shows is people holding flashbacks as if there's some big reveal behind them, when really the story needs them to have the emotional context that's driving the character. So I could call a flashback penalty too, but I'll waive it off this time because I understand the reasoning behind it. Even though I disagree. What you should have had in place of that flashback would have been some kind of confrontation between all the 11th Street kids and the Flags people. Maybe they could have brought in some of the, what are they called, the Lex Luthor drone guys to fight at the end. That would have been fun. Maybe those could have been the guys trying to capture Peacemaker. Maybe they succeed in capturing him, even though there's a fight. Then you have your real Empire Strikes Back moment, because you've lost a fight, even though you've just won back your friend, and he's ended up in essentially the Phantom Zone. That's what it is. It's a Phantom Zone run by probably Darkseid, but we'll see. You can't get James Gunn to admit anything, but all the channels are theorizing that it's Darkseid. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please comment, and we can talk more Peacemaker. Subscribe to get our next content. We're going to be doing a book recommendation marathon next. I have a lot of books to recommend and some really cool authors to tell you about. So if you like this, tell your friends about the crazy author in the ref costume. I've been the Writing Ref, and that's been The Call.